What's up, everybody? And on this episode, we're gonna get the old Bronco back up and on the road. So thanks for hanging out. If you like content like this, subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment down below. If there's areas I can improve or suggestions you have for the truck, do that as well. Looking forward to hearing from you. Let's get to it. So let me bring you in to what I've got done so far on the Bronco, and then we will try and rebuild this rear end and get the engine in the rest of the way, and then we'll go for a test drive. Alright, so there's the differential. The ring and pinion, I looked at it, they look pretty good. A tone ring, so you can see what get in here. As you can see, it's super chewed up from the shrapnel that got thrown around in here. A little bit of moisture got in here, but the carrier's scrap. And I'll show you why. Just let me sit you down so I can rotate this thing around. Alright. Can you see inside of there? There is something missing. Well, actually, there's two things missing. Spider gears aren't in there. So what happened was the two spider gears that have the cross pin or the shaft, they split, and because of that, I no longer had connection between the two tires. Therefore, car no move forward or backwards. How chrome moly spider gears snap in half, I don't know, but it did. And here we are. So now that I got the cross pin shaft out, all it takes, pull the retaining bolt out of, it's the opposite side, but it's in the same spot as this, and then you may need to tap this out with the drift, but it should, at least in this case, it just slipped right out. Next is the 8.8 is a C-clip axle. So what that means is what retains the axle shafts into the housing are two little metal C-clips. So what I need to do is get the axles to be pushed in so that I can get access to those, get them out, and then I can slide the axles out. And when I get those out, I will show you what the C-clips look like. Okay, so that was way easier, at least on the passenger side. All I did, I feel like I remember these being more difficult to get out or get in, but that's what your C-clip looks like. So they just a piece of metal in the shape of a C. Drive the axle shaft in, and it should give you enough room for that C-clip to fall out. If I recall correctly, the driver's side was the one that I struggled with the most last time. These are all pieces of the old clutch pack. The C-clip is going to be retained inside the spider gear. So I'm going to drive this driver's side axle in. Hopefully I can get it in enough that that C-clip just falls out. Alright, see if this other side will be as cooperative. Just as I figured, this one is going to be a pain. Oh, maybe not. Look at that. Can you see it? There's your C-clip. You should be able to just push those out. There it is. There's C-clip, and then the axle just drives out. Alright. Let's pull these axles out.
Alright, now that those C-clips are removed, you should just be able to grab the axle. It should just slide right out. Just like that. Now if you look right in here, that's the groove that the C-clip slides into. Now there are kits to get rid of the whole C-clip, because it's the one downside to the 8.8 is if you do end up snapping an axle shaft, the only thing retaining the shaft in is all the way at the end. So basically anywhere outside of where that clip is, if it breaks, your wheel is going to be leaving the group chad. Alright, both axle shafts are out. So all I gotta do is pull these two bearing caps, then gently roll this out. If I recall correctly, it's 3/4, and it is. It is important to make sure you remember which side these caps go on. Some people will go in and they'll take a punch and they'll put like 1 dot here and then 1 dot on the case, and then 2 dots on the other one, 2 dots on the case, and then match them up later. I like to live life dangerously, and I just put it on the side of the case that it belongs on. Same thing with the bolts. So if I pull it off the left side of the case, it sits on the left side of the axle. If I pull it off the right side of the case, it's going to sit on the right side of the axle. Oh, I dropped you. Let me slide you a little further out of the way, just in case this thing drops. And there I go hitting you again. Sorry. Hope I didn't give you a concussion. Alright. Now once the drop, this is going to be a little bit heavy. Make sure you keep track of your shims as well. Since I'm using the same brand and same part number carrier, I should theoretically be able to just reuse these. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright. And roll. Oh, yep, that's heavy. Alright, now I need to get this rain gear off. It is a 3/4, and I am just gonna pull them off in a star pattern. Not that it really should matter, but just prevent any possible warping. Oh, and I need Loctite. I forgot Loctite. Now, I'm gonna actually tap this tone ring off first. It's literally just tapped in place, so it's really it really shouldn't be on here that tight. It's going to the scrap anyway, so there you go. That is not the correct way to do it, but as you can see, she's pretty chewed up, so not really worried about it. Alrighty, it is off. It is still quite warm. This is the busted carrier. That is extremely warm. And then here's what it was supposed to look like. But this is still warm, so I'm going to try and take this opportunity to put the ring on this carrier. Alright, ring gear is on the new carrier. Now I need to put the Alright, ring gear is on the new carrier. Old carrier, trash. New carrier needs bearings. Bearings are over here. You guys tired of watching me press bearings and stuff on? Kinda ridiculous. You know what? You get the gist. I'm gonna press these on and then we'll move on from there. Alright, I got the bearings pressed in. When you're pressing these in, gotta make sure you're not pressing on the cage. You can deform the cage and then you'll end up with premature bearing failure, and it's not fun. So I had a washer that was just big enough to fit on the inner race and press it down, and these do seat all the way. I'm not sure if there are rear ends out there that have you shim underneath the bearing, but the 8.8 shims go on the outside between the outer race and the housing. So, got one problem, and it's not a big one, it just means I'm not going to be able to finish this today. The tone ring, which is what this is, all the little teeth on it. The one that I ordered won't be here till tomorrow. I cannot install this without that being installed. This is really simple. You slip it on, and it's kind of a friction fit. You just tap it on with, I'm going to use a ball peen. Tap it gently, doesn't take a lot of force. But when that shows up, I'll install it, and then I'll put the carrier back into the housing and get the axles and everything put back together. Alright, it's the next day, and I have been working all day and realized I have not recorded anything. Don't worry, I really didn't make much for progress. So, let me bring you in, show you where we are at, and then I finally got the tone ring, or reluctor ring, ABS vehicle speed sensor ring for the differential. Got that squared away, got that in. It's on the actual differential now. Let me bring you in and I'll show you exactly how far I have progressed. Alright, big ticket item number one. Got the headers installed. I don't care if you're working on a brand new build or an old truck or car that has cast manifolds. I'm telling you, get these gaskets. Remflex is a company, family owned and operated out of Washington State, where I grew up, and they make these gaskets out of graphite and they compress. Cool part is, if you have a pitted or deformed manifold, it will fill those deformations and allow you to have a leak-free seal, which is great if you have issues with going through multiple header gaskets or manifold gaskets because you have warped headers or warped manifolds. I'm telling you, they're not super expensive. I think for the small block 4, these are like $22 or $24. Worth every penny. I will never put another brand of gasket on an engine ever again. So, big ticket number one, headers installed. Big ticket number two, got the reluctor wheel tone ring for the vehicle speed sensor installed on the casing of the carrier. Now these are very simple. All they are a press fit. You kind of line it up and you take a rubber mallet and you beat it around in circles to get it to set completely. So that's in. So now all I gotta do is grab my shims and bolts and everything and install this into the carrier. So let me pull everything out of the way. We'll throw this in real quick and check backlash, and then we'll install axles and C-clips. All right. Oh, come on. Yeah. Oh, it's not light. Oh. Yep. I'm being squished. Oh. I don't remember it being this heavy coming out. Probably because I didn't care. Yeah. This is where you want some marking compound. Put and torque these down, marking compound, check your pattern. If your pattern's good, then you'll leave it torqued. If you hit, well, what you'll do is you won't make any adjustments, but you'll need to put some Loctite on these bolts. And then install your axle shafts. I'm pretty sure I don't have marking compound. So there's that. I thought I had a can somewhere. Should probably look for that. So I did not find the marking compound. So let's say we did. Everything's perfect. So now I'm just going to blue Loctite these bolts in, lock this thing down until the next time I pull it apart. Alright, so I have slid the axle in. It's kind of dark, so I apologize in advance. But if you look oh so carefully, you can see right there where that my finger was. That is the lip that these C-clips go into. So I'm going to go ahead, slide this one in place, and then I'll show you what is next. Okay, come back in. Sorry for the abrupt movements. See, C-clip is in. It is recessed all the way. Now what I'll do it with my foot so you can actually watch it. Pull the axle back out. Or maybe I can't do it with my foot. Maybe I can. Do it. Hey. Okay, maybe I need to get in there with a little tender love and care, you know what I'm saying? There she, oh, there you go. Sorry. So now, I don't know why that was so difficult, but you see that axle shaft pulled all the way out. So that C-clip is now retained inside the spider gear, so it can't just fall out when the wheel starts turning. Downside of this is if the axle shaft breaks anywhere outside where that C-clip is, which is the most likely location in which it's going to break, your wheel and whatever remaining axle shaft is just going to exit out that way. So anyway, I'm going to put the other one in, and then we're going to get this diff cover on, and then I'm going to put some fluid in this thing. Alright, so I got good news. And that is, rear end is put back together. The axle shafts, goodness words, are in. This passenger side was a little more of a pain to get the C-clip to seat into its groove, and I think that it's because of that axle saver, that sleeve that's in there. I think it's preventing it from going far enough in to make it a easy slip fit. So I had to persuade it with Tanya Harding, also known as a hammer. I used a little guy, little Tanya Harding. That's a rubber. But I got it in, put a new gasket in. I haven't put fluid in it, so remind me later before I decide to drive this thing around that I need to make sure I put fluid in that. Right now I'm putting the drums back on, even though they've definitely seen better days. And I'm going to put the wheels back on. That way I can actually drop this down on all 4 tires. Not that it's going to make anything easier for me to access, but I can at least roll it back a little bit so I can get access to the front of the truck. Because I still have, my garage is a mess. I still have quite a bit of work to do up here. I gotta finish bolting the accessories in, gotta put spark plugs in, gotta get the radiator, upper and lower hoses on, and then it's plug wires, battery, and the sniper unit. Get all that plugged in, and then I should be able to crank her and see if she moves. So yeah, getting there, progress. I'm going to get these tires on, lower this thing down, slide the truck back just a smidge. That'll give me room to squeeze through the front here, and then we'll get back into the engine portion of this tomfoolery that I have going on. Alright. Alrighty, so it is day number 3 now. I ran into a little bit of an issue, and I thought I took care of it prior to this, but so let me see how I can describe this. I'm not using a stock flex plate. I'm using one from, what's that company's name? Drawing a blank. Anyway, it's an SFI approved. Not that I really need that. I'm not racing this thing, but it's what I needed in order to use the torque converter that I got from Gearstar. And it's just a flat flex plate. So the issue that I always run into, and I knew about it prior to installing the engine, is the bolts that I'm required to use in order to install that flex plate. The heads are super tall, and they make contact with the back of the torque converter. So I have to grind those down. So this morning, while the camera was charging and all these videos were transferring into the computer, I actually dropped the transmission out to fix that issue. So now that's squared away, bell housing bolts are all in, torque converter bolts are all in, starter is installed, and I started installing and wiring in the sniper unit. Now, it's very simple, it's really plug and play. The truck was already wired for it from when I originally built this motor, so I didn't have to do all the extra stuff. But if I recall correctly, the instructions, they don't tell you specifically for your vehicle because every vehicle is different, but it tells you what voltages are required for each wire. So like red is going to be your 12-volt hot from your battery, your pink is going to be your ignition source, like ignition switch. So it needs to be 12 volts when in start position and in run position and dead when in off. So things like that. I also ran to the auto parts store this morning and got some spark plug wires. I got the cheapest set because I don't want to spend the money on a nice set of spark plugs right now, or spark plug wires. So I have to install the spark plugs and then wire it. I already put the engine at top dead center on the number 1 cylinder, and I have to wire, do the firing order. One thing you'll notice is the valve cover is off. I was cranking this last night. I probably shouldn't have, but I was, and I wasn't getting any oil pressure, so stopped cranking it because I don't want to eat up any bearings. I pulled the distributor out and I used a drill and I think this is a 10 millimeter socket on a 6-inch quarter drive extension, and I just drove that oil pump directly off the drill until I saw oil come up from the valve or the push rods. So I know for a fact I have oil pressure. I verified it on the gauge, so we are good in that front. So I have to install this valve cover again. Other than that, things are getting really close. I do have to install the drive shaft, which is 4 bolts, so it's not that big of a deal, and finish the wiring and put the belt on and throw some water in the radiator. Other than that, we're rolling pretty quick. So I'm gonna set you up and you can watch me struggle with the rest of this. The wiring is atrocious in this thing, but I'm not going to try and fix it right now because eventually the whole body's coming off the frame. So yeah. Oh. Hey. There you are. Thought I was gonna lose my 10 millimeter. You know, like the like every other mechanic in the world. The 10 mil is like Bigfoot. It's elusive and nobody can ever find him. We know he exists, just have no evidence. This is the exciter wire. Oh, come on. There we go. Alright, let's see. Built up the crank. Power steering. Idler number 1. This is how you do it without actually using a wrench. Just like that, belt is on. Okay, I lied. It is not on this idler. There we go. There we go. Now the belt is on. Make sure I got good contact everywhere.
Everything seems good there. Cool. And I know I have oil in the block because I checked the oil pressure already. So that cap will go back on. All right, spark plugs. All right, so I want to apologize first. The camera got hot and turned itself off. So I don't know where it left off on recording, but I just pressed on and kept working. Goodness, I need to pay attention to where I'm pointing you. I look awful. I got those plug wires done. I did the 2 grounds. I blocked off any vacuum ports that I'm not using at the moment. I do need to do a throttle return spring. Anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to turn the key over, make sure that it actually fires off real quick, but then I'm just gonna have to set the timing as well as put coolant in it. So I'm gonna set you up. It's gonna be loud, but hopefully everything goes well. All right, let's do this. Running. Temperature's about normal, 187, 185. Trans temp's 133. Speed sensor seems to be working properly. 50 pounds of oil pressure. I don't even know if you can hear me. We're about to get on the freeway, so it's gonna get loud. Still need to figure out why it wants to stick at a higher idle after letting off the fuel or the accelerator, the gas pedal. wait for an opening. Atrocious. Locks up in overdrive. This is 70 miles an hour, 2,000 RPMs. Everything seems to be operating as it should. Aside from that weird high idle. But you tap the gas pedal, it goes away. I want to say butterfly valve is like sticking open or something. Maybe it's a secondary that's sticking. I think it's a secondary sticking. Not like a race truck. Still runs pretty good. After this, I'm gonna have to check for any oil leaks. That was one of the things that I addressed when the motor was out. I did a rear main and oil pan gasket. I don't know if it's actually going to seal or not. I've had really bad luck with rear mains on this this engine for whatever reason. But even if it leaks just a little bit, I'll take it. Now, I would love to do a burnout for you, but this thing wheel hops like crazy, and I just fixed the rear end, so I'd rather not break it again. Kind of don't have the finances to fix it for a third time. This thing scoots for no reason. Alright, I'm back in the development, so I gotta be nice about it. So I'll see you guys back at the house. Well, there you have it, guys. The Bronco is fully operational. I actually drove it to work today. It did great. Cruises down the highway just fine and dandy, and everything seems to be operating as it should. I didn't really have any doubts other than, you know, maybe the rear end, because, you know, I'm not a professional. I got it close. But yeah, here we are. Bronco's up and running. It needs a bath, and before you tell me I need to paint it, I'm aware. But for now, it will do exactly as it's needed, which is either be a primary or backup vehicle for me to putz around town and get to where I need to go. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining me. Now, I need to clean up the garage because it's a nightmare, and get back to work on old Project ID. So, look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hit that like button, it promotes the video. Leave a comment below. I try to respond to every comment I see, and look forward to hearing any input and comments from you guys, and appreciate the support so far. See you later.